All right. Shema Yasharallah Yahweh Allah Hakinawa Yahweh Achad Shema Yasharallah Yahweh Allah Hakinawa Yahweh Achad Shema Yasharallah Yahweh Allah Hakinawa Yahweh Achad Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahweh Shai, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahweh Shai, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahweh Shai, Bahasum Kahakodash. I also want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect. All right, I was a high spirit wind lawyer, and today I want to go into a live stream entitled American Harlots Want Lifelong Tricks and Simps, or American Harlots Want Lifelong Tricking and Simping. All right, now let me give a cultural disclaimer. Dealing with a harlot is within the framework of our culture, within the framework of our heritage. All right, it's how you got your release. I can see a picture being painted of you traveling from one city to another as a merchant, or this as a man in the ancient world, and you would lodge in a particular hotel. All right, going from city to city, and that option was available for dealing with a harlot. And the concept of that being a trick is a Western Babylonian term. Okay, so that's actually good. That's actually okay. It's a service. Okay, contrary to what you may have been taught. All right, examples of that was Samson, Hosea. Was it Judith? No, Judah. Well, I said Judith, but it was Judah. All right. So we had, it was a service. I think in certain parts of Europe, it just, you openly can go to a brothel. But within black cultures framework, every Jake was inspired by a pimp. So the pimp, which a pimp is a whoremonger, and ironically, that's not supposed to exist within the nation of Israel, especially if you're and technically, you're not supposed to you're not supposed to exploit or sell Israelite women. Okay, but I'm saying all that to say, in America, if you pay for sex, the urban slang term is called tricking. All right, but American women, they are harlots in the sense that they don't reserve their virginity. All right, they culturally are sexually promiscuous, but when it comes to their idea of a husband, all right, after they ruin their prime, all right, in this society, the ideal of a husband is a guy that's a beta male provider, what they would call a beta male provider, but really a lifelong trick, because feminism is brainwashing everybody, especially in black culture, that a man is supposed to provide everything, rooted in the scriptures. A man is a provider. So that's the scheme. A modern woman using a traditional framework to exploit men in her generation. But weren't you liberated from tradition? So why are you even using traditional beliefs? You see? But after they play the field, or the field plays them, all right, or they get played, they are the field that's being played on, and they in that soil, that field is no longer fertile and moist. Now they're looking for somebody that's gonna be a lifelong trick, man. Okay, a lifelong simp. Eve is basically demanding men pay for fucking everything, including dating her, man. But I'm here to say that's not of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, man. All right, that's not of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai. All right. When men, if you think about the movie Color Purple, all right, economically, that's ideal, Not necessarily the relationship between Mr. and Celie, All right. But the fact that I believe he bought her from her dad. All right. But she bought her from her dad. He Mr. bought Celie from her father. And she was a helpmeet within his estate, within his property, man. All right. That's when we were providers. He wasn't paying for, men wasn't paying for this and paying for that and paying for this and paying for that. All right. Paying for her to go on this trip, paying for her to go to some bar, paying for her to buy this new outfit, paying for her. Now, what you do with your boo, that's your rib. It also says a man glories his woman. But once again, these are women, the daughters of Jerusalem were supposed to be virgins. Okay? Hey, let me get the scripture from Elder Hawaii. Shalom, bro. 1 Timothy 5:6. But she that liveth in pleasure is dead while she liveth. You know? So, the scripture says, through the scriptures, we're pulling down strongholds. Feminism is a fucking stronghold, man. Well, women feel like, okay, they look good, and you're supposed to buy everything. You know what that is? An extended escort service. In order to get her and have her in your world, you have to be a provider. But she ain't providing her virginity. She ain't. In order to put her feminine, you got to be masculine in the sense of provision. Well, that's just acting. That's an extended. That's called a GFE. That's a girlfriend experience, man. That's extended escort service, man. And a lot of these women, they just want to provide extended escort service for different men. Come on, man. But in the beginning, it was not so. You know, modern women, they have the luxury, they have an advantage of actually developing certain skills that can extend your legacy, man. You know? Like I said, Jake might have some little chick he fuck with or whatever. You know how this shit go. But in the sense of, like, this is your woman. Like, you know. And this is more than just cooking and cleaning. You know, I've done lines of work where I picked up passengers. You know. And I picked up dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of women from other countries. And they all have one thing in common. They understand they have the traditional aspect of being a woman, but they're also go-getters. I've never really met a foreign woman that was just a housewife. Nah, they understand the domestic aspect of being a woman, and they go-getters. All right, but let me get into these bitches. Just lazy, man. These women are just lazy. All right. Sirach 19:2. Wine and women will make men of understanding to fall away, and he that cleaveth to harlots will become impotent, man. You know, Jake, driven by his lust, and the lust in you never dies. And when you attach your lust to something you paying for, or you attach your lust to a woman, it takes from you, man. It was a philosopher that roughly quoted. He said, "We all think lust is free, but we don't realize we pay for it with our soul." Like you're paying, you're pleasing your flesh like that excessively, but you don't realize you have to give up who you are for it. Meaning, you become smaller in here. It makes you weak, man. You're giving up your life force. You're giving up your ambition. You're giving up, just your virtues. It's a real thing, you know. Sirach 26:22. A harlot shall be accounted as spittle, but a married woman is a tower against death to her husband. Just imagine. And you know a woman is low value when she make these demands. A woman is low value. That's like a man walking around saying, I'm an alpha male, I'm an alpha male. Like, bro, masculinity is felt. I'm a gangster, I'm a real, realness, masculinity, it's felt, it's instinct. Same thing with femininity, man. You get around a woman that's really in tune with her womanhood, she don't have to say all this shit about her feminine, her divine feminine bullshit. When you get around a woman that's really feminine, you instinctively really want to stick your chest out and go a little harder in life, man. You know what I mean? Show her that you could kill a deer, so to speak, man. But when women make these demands, you know she trash, man. Get the fuck out of here, man. That's why Jake could get it like a little average little chick, because as long as she cool, you know what I mean? But in regards to building, a woman's supposed to help you build. Now, if I'm trying to literally build something brick by brick, but every day you taking a brick from me, how the fuck can I build, man? All right, Sirach 26 and 22. A harlot should be accounted as spittle, but a married woman is a tower against death to her husband. Man, you supposed to, hey, a woman, man, you supposed to be able to grow a fucking garden. You supposed to, I'm speaking as a man, you should be able to get into aquaponics. You know, you should be able to get into self-sustained systems. You know, and you see the economy fucking collapsing. I mean, at some point we're gonna have to leave it all behind anyway. But you should be able to have a nursery. You're supposed to have an apothecary. You should be able to know how to make soaps from herbs, from nature, salves, all right, tinctures, okay, teas. Really, what Yahweh Bahashim Yahushua is doing, he's making little Jerusalems amongst the Israelite camps. So amongst the Israelite camps, all right, that's Jerusalem. Instead of us going to Babylon for all, the Most High is setting it up to where your country is within your house, within your apartment. You know, you can have a bar section in your apartment, in your house. You can have an apothecary in your house. You know, a nursery within your house. You know, Sirach 26 and 25. A shameless woman shall be counted as a dog, but she that is shamefaced will fear Yahweh. The grace of a wife, the delight of her husband, her discretion will fatten his bones. And it's another thing too. Modern women think we work for them. They think we're their servants, but really they're our servants. But the reason why they don't feel that way, because the Amalek finessed them into thinking that they're independent, all while they're being his servants. He offered a better package. Now, I can't beat it. I can't compete with Amalek's package deal. Like, you work for me, you get them degrees, you work for me, you can take your little girl's trip. Because that's how you know Amalek's a pimp, man. A pimp don't care who his hoe fucking, as long as you come back with a bag. Amalek don't care you getting smashed by random niggas on a job. Amalek don't care that you taking a girl's trip. You know, as long as your ass at work Monday. You alright? As long as you bringing that bag, man. That's how a pimp think, man. I don't care who my hoe fucking, just bring the money back. So we can't compete with that shit, because of course as a man, you want your woman to be faithful. You know? So, yeah, you win, you lose the war. When we came to America, that's us. We was spoils of war. We lost the war. We conquered. We POWs, prisoners of war, with no fucking power. Okay? And how you gonna compete with Amalek, man? He didn't persuade your woman through these different movies, through these different movements, through the media, that her being under you is bad. But meanwhile, this bitch got 2 full-time jobs. You know? Her being under you is bad. But meanwhile, she got student loan debt. This is her 3rd credit card she didn't sabotage, man. In a row. You know? She don't know how to put the right gasoline in her car. You know? So Amalek finessed our servant and let her just be a little whore. But long as she come back with the bag. And even if it's indirect, like even if she ain't directly going to school and acquiring the skill to go work for him, all right, he'll have it set up to where, okay, I feed you, I supply you little apartment housing, your little vouchers, have your little bastards. But those little bastards gonna grow up to be slaves in the prison industrial complex. So basically, it's gonna be a breeding ground. It's a breeding farm for quote unquote criminals, which are modern day slaves. You see? Damn, this shit stink. Let me get up here. It's gonna be a breeding ground for criminals, which are modern day slaves. You know? And Jake's so fucked up off that, he think it's a flex to walk around with an ankle bracelet, ankle monitor. You know? Nonetheless, I digress. Back to the topic. You know? So if you go into female nature, I went into female nature a little bit by this book called The Rational Male by this Italian author. Alright? Which makes me think, now in hindsight, he's probably Jake. he goes into the biology, the science, the female nature. And it basically says that, after the female has sex with all the alpha males and had the babies by alpha males, that she looks for a beta male provider. And that's reflective of what Eve screams out, at least on these platforms, that, okay, she's a baby mother with 2-3 different baby daddies or multiple baby daddies, but she's demanding that a man provides everything. But what really is going on in female nature is that, okay, I'm done with the alpha male. The alpha males did what they was gonna do with me, which was to reproduce their seed through me. Now I need me a provider, a provider. So when women talk about, oh, he must make this much money, really what they're saying is like a Black Ram 313, right? That thought retirement plan. This is my thought retirement plan. I'm gonna play the field, then retire with a man that I perceive as a beta. All right, but what I'm saying through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Shai, that's demonic, that's satanic, that's anti-Yahweh Bahashim Shai. All right, we're not here to. First of all, we are yet this day in our captivity. We're still waiting to get paid. We got to work multiple jobs and shit. And you finna turn around and provide? It's better to just get a Harlot, bro. It's better to get a straight up escort, man. All right, at least she's honest. At least y'all got an honest transaction, an honest dynamic between each other, man. I'm not saying go all willy-nilly, go lamb with an escort, but it's better to just get it that way, man. Instead of constantly coming out of pocket off this belief that if you want her in your reality, you got to pay for everything, man. That's an extended escort service. It's an extended escort service. It's better to be alone. That's why I'm all for things like no fap and semen retention, because it gives you the strength to not get weak for every female, most likely you're not gonna be like that to the kingdom, but it just helps you recharge and recenter from all this ass titties you see on social media, man, to where you just kind of like a fiend for that, especially as a young man. It's good to recenter, man. Get your reality back. I'm even seeing through different facets that there are a holy generation or royal priesthood, man. Even the apostles going into carnivore, well, to my understanding, the carnivore diet, especially grass-fed, grass-finished, right? Exclusively grass-fed, really that's just a royal diet, man. It's a royal palate. It's a royal, that's how King Solomon ate, man. Mediterranean, just the grass-fed, grass-finished, processed food. That's Babylonian bullshit. It's a lot. I stand corrected for any time that I, might have pushed plant-based or whatever. Which, fruit and nuts is good, but it seems that through the spirit that the Most High is really pushing that royal way. And brothers do what work for them, but the underlying thing is they go to processed food, But I know I talked about plant-based a lot, But I stand corrected and we out here to learn, But I say all that to say, the Most High want us to go the royal way, Which is I just say this, eliminate processed food. That's a main component, man. Because me personally, I've done most of the main diets. And what I realize is really rooted in processed food. I've done most of the main diets, man. And I realize that there's a dirty version of everything. Just don't do the processed food version of it, And it is also good to, detox and cleanse. And most detoxes require you to take the meat and dairy out your body, But once again, going back to just being a regal people, having that regality about ourselves, man, that royal priesthood, man, having a standard of quality about ourselves, man, having that standard of quality about ourselves, But not falling for this Babylonian bullshit, this feminism bullshit, where you gotta pay for this woman to have her around you, man. It's better to be alone, man. Solitude to get your solitude will give you your strength back, man. You know, solitude will give you your strength back. You see, it's like masculine energy. It charges up in solidarity, man. You know, it charges back up, man. You're being content with yourself is how you can have high self-esteem, man. You content when you're solidarity, man. All right, being whole by yourself, man. Of course, you got a brotherhood. That's a morale booster too. You know, you get done teaching, you might eat with the brothers, you might fellowship over the particular brother, but that keeps your self-esteem high, man. All right, but according to the Bible, man, our forefathers were getting women as assets, but to give context, to women in this world, man. Why would you get a woman and you paying for everything? Now, see, if you just had a bag, you just had the Most High gave it to you like that, to where all you do is want to have your woman just. But even then, man, I mean, come on, you know. Like I said, because when I think of that, I think of foreign women, but every foreign woman that I've come across, yeah, they're traditional, but I'm dropping them off to some business that they run, man. Some African braiding shop. Well, let's say she's Ishmael or something. She's going to some college, man. Most women who can't come to the West from the eastern parts of the world, they're coming here to get a bag. But the American women act like it's impossible to do both. To be traditional in the sense that you have the science to nourishing your family and have some type of enterprising mindset about yourself, man. You know, like I said, Eve just want a lifelong simp. Or what they would call in America a trick, as far as paying for everything. A lifelong trick, man. You know? And I'm not even going to say this Eve. I've seen American Edomite women do that. Edomite women running up their husband's credit card. They got a house. You know, they got kids. And the husband is frustrated because his wife is running up the credit card. And he was like, honey, that's money for XYZ. And she was like, hey, you could get a second job. If we're running out of money, make more money. That's crazy. That's crazy. This is not the 1950s, man. So even Edomites are catching hell, man. You know? You know? But Eve just want a lifelong trick, man. A lifelong simp, man. American women, they want to play the field, then find the guy that's happy that he got this baddie in his life. And they can finance it. Come on, man. You know, that's not of Yahweh Bahashim outside. It's more like, what can you do for me? Like, how can you enrich my existence, man? That's one thing that I will say about pimps. Pimps know this is not about her beauty and me being enamored by her beauty. This is about her being an asset to me. Your businesses know that. They're not finna hire a woman just because she fucking pretty. You got to bring in the bag. The pretty chicks that work at the shoe department store, your prettiness is going to lure in potential customers, but it's going to lure in potential customers to make them spend money. That's the Eastern way. A woman has to be an asset. And we have to, hey, you know, because Babylon will make you look at women like, damn, oh, she bad. Like, nah, that's you're a man. It says the beauty of a woman treat the countenance. But it's duties behind that, you know? But I hope, you know, brothers are edified. You know, I'm not going to, you know, record too long or go live too long. The water for tuning in, you know? But that's what I've been learning about this shift that's been happening. You know, with the MGTOW movement, the red pill movement, the alpha male movement, you know? It's about us, man. It's about us. It's about you feeling good about yourself. That's something else I wanted to get into, man. It's about us feeling good about ourselves, man. You know? When you work out, don't you feel good about yourself? Hey, Shalom. When you work out, you feel good about yourself. When you eat clean, you feel good about yourself. You know, you might shape your hair, groom your beard, man. You oil your face, you feel good. You know what I mean? You might put on a nice t-shirt. It don't have to be expensive, but you might, you know what I mean, put on, a decent something. What happens? You feel good. And they call that peacocking. But most of the male animals that's attractive, most of the animals that's attractive are the males. That should tell you something. Look at the peacock. That's the male peacock. With all the feathers, Look at the lion with the beautiful mane. That's the male lion, not the lioness. You see? Certain birds of paradise, those are the male birds with the flint point, you know what I mean? With the ostentatious attire, man. So why is it that in nature, in a lot of cases, the male is the brilliant one. The male is the radiant one. And the female is attracted to him, they're like more plain, man. Come on, man. Yeah, men are fed up with certain women. And we love women. I love women, man. I'm not Ray Charles the women. I love them. When you go out, you see pretty women. But you still have to maintain some type of respect for yourself. But I've noticed, us being royal, like a king, man, he knows he's the shit, bro. Like, yeah, the scripture says, glorify thy soul with meekness and give it honor according to the dignity thereof. Can somebody get that in Sirach 10 and 27, the GNT, before I close this out? Sirach 10, I think it's 27 GNT. The KJV says, glorify thy soul with meekness and give it honor according to the dignity. And as men, we got to rehearse having dignity, that self-respect, self-regard, man, self-worth. Dignity goes back to worth. Like, you have a dignitary, all right? A dignitary, that's somebody that's literally of high worth. In the seat of politics, so to speak. A dignitary. But having dignity means you have self-worth, man. So how do we exercise self-worth, man? By not bringing things into our world that damages us, whether it's food, lifestyle. Yeah, of course you read the word, that's foundational. But also in regards to lifestyle, not bringing things into our world that depletes us, drains us, bring down our self-esteem. It's very important that we keep our self-esteem high, man. But yeah, I'll probably go on my car and just look up a bunch of pictures just to get a collection of pictures with all the male animals being the brilliant ones as far as their looks, man. You got the deer with the big antlers, the antelope or whatever deer, they got the big antlers, man. Those are the males. It's a display of power and status and strength. Same thing with that male lion. You know what I mean? That lion, man. Why did the Most High make the male animals beautiful, man? Now, even in the ancient world, right? You had certain men where it was actually documented. Like, this man was more handsome than anybody. Was it Absalom? He was more handsome than anybody in Israel. Like, that was documented. Then, of course, we had women that was very beautiful, like our mother, our foremother, if I may. Was it Judith? She was a baddie. She was beautiful. I'm not gonna say a baddie. She was a baddie. She was beautiful, Susanna, beautiful. But then again, they mentioned handsome men in Israel. And it's not about, which the Most High made the Israelite genes handsome, whether it's Judah, Ephraim, whatever. But more so like who you are, man. All right, the water. Sirach 10 and 28. So I said 27, but it's actually 28. The water brothers. My child, keep your self-respect, but remain modest. Value yourself at your true worth. And what did Babylon take from us? Starting with slavery, it took our self-worth away, man. But just the moment you're an Israelite, and that means he prince of the power, we should carry myself as such. We should carry ourselves as such, man, and not bring anything into our reality that says otherwise, man. But let me get into my car right quick. And not bring anything into our reality that says otherwise. Some things you got to deal with, like a job, you know. But I find that just being in nature, exercising, it brings that back, man. You know, like I said, eating clean, you know, not bringing garbage into your life. It's like you force yourself to get the better thing, but that affects your spirit, you know. And I've learned that when you succumb to your cravings, when you succumb to your lust, you succumb to just lower nature cravings, once you fulfill it, what happens? It's like your self-worth goes down, man. You know? It's like your self-worth goes, when you give into those cravings, all right, you can fill in the blank what those cravings could be. Once you do it, what happens? Like your self-esteem goes down, man. You know? And it's very imperative that all Israelites have high self-esteem, man. And it's not to say that we walk around condescending or, you know, treat people like shit, but it's just knowing your worth, man. And that's a very good balance to, you know, remain modest but also keep your self-respect. And like I said, the diets, that royal diet, to me, they're just royal. That's regal, you know. But you know, that's pretty much the point, you know. I really don't want to end the live stream, Michael, you know, but hey, you know, what the scripture say, let thy speech be short, comprehending much in few words, you know. But sometimes the spirit have extended lessons, man. But with that, I will draw this to a closing. You know, once again, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Bahashim Yahawashi, Bahashim Rakahakodash. I also want to give double honors to our elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well, as well as peace and blessings, health and wellness to the house of David the elect, Abba Baal, Kum Yashala, Shalom.